Am I the a-hole for interrupting dinner and telling everyone what my ex-husband's wife did? My ex-husband and I divorced 6 years ago, and we share custody of our 9-year-old daughter. Since then, he's been nasty and mean to me. I kept contact with my former in-laws as they care about the relationship with me. My former mother-in-law has done a lot for me. She's the best grandma my daughter has, and she visits and is always there for me, despite my ex's opinions. I got married to my now husband, and we had a boy together. He was born with a chronic medical condition. It was so hard seeing him like that. His health was getting better, until I woke up in the morning finding him not breathing. My husband and I were devastated. I was allowed to see him later, and when I held him for the last time, he was so cold. I just wanted to keep him warm like I did before. He died a month before his first birthday. The grief is very raw, and we're hurting, but we were overwhelmed by the support everyone showed us. I was told my ex-husband's wife had a baby boy a few days before my son's first birthday. She called to extend her condolences when my son passed away, but I ignored her because of her comments on my son. So, I had a small gathering last week on my son's first birthday. After we took minutes of silence, then we received a package wrapped in paper. I opened the box and found an album full of my ex-husband and his wife's newborn photos. We were in disbelief. It was sent by his wife. I didn't understand why she sent them, so I called my ex and he hung up on me. I was livid. I went over to my former mother-in-law's house at night because she wanted me there. I saw my ex and his wife were also there. Former mother-in-law said they came unexpectedly, but insisted that I come in since the entire family was there. I took a few minutes while they were having dinner to ask my ex's wife why she sent me her son's photo album on my son's first birthday. Everyone was shocked. She looked nervous and kept looking around. Former mother-in-law asked for clarification, and I told her what happened and what her daughter-in-law sent. She was livid. Started yelling at her and pointing at her, calling her awful and disrespectful. My ex kept defending her, claiming I was lying. So I just pulled the album out of my bag and put it on the table and walked out. I left while everyone was yelling at her. My ex came over later and started berating me, arguing about me interrupting/ruining dinner. Worse, ruining his wife's relationship with his family, because now everyone's been turned against her and keep yelling at her when she's dealing with postpartum. He claimed I'm using my son's death for attention and to turn his family against his wife out of resentment. That's when I kicked him out. My husband said I should have done that, but I didn't intend to. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She got what she deserved. Sending you that album on your deceased son's birthday was horrible. And if she had no way to defend herself, her intentions were clearly cruel. I wish you the best. Thank you, and you're absolutely right. I wanted an explanation, but she didn't say anything. I don't know why. But after this move, I'm worried that my daughter will become affected or influenced by her behavior. Her relationship with my daughter is fine. I always make sure my daughter is protected from any conflicts between me and her stepmom. I'm just worried about my daughter after what that woman did. You might want to talk to a lawyer about this. You might want to change your custody arrangement. Not the a-hole. Well, if it isn't the consequences of her own actions. You didn't ruin her relationship with his family. She did by being a complete monster. I can't imagine what is wrong with that woman that she would do something so self-centered and hurtful. I'm so sorry about the loss of your precious son. May his memory be a blessing. Not the a-hole. You couldn't have done anything if she never sent the album. And who sends that to her husband's ex anyway? No one with good intentions. I'm so sorry for your loss. Interestingly, this isn't even a casually malicious move. It's not like she lost her cool for a couple minutes and talked crap about Opie. This takes some real planning and resources. Purchasing a photo album and getting photo prints can cost anywhere from $40 to $100. Then it will take a couple hours at least to pick everything out and assemble it. Then you need to go to USPS or somewhere else, package it and ship it. This is an endeavor that took several days, if not a couple weeks to pull off. All while this lady is 9 months pregnant or has a newborn. How did she possibly find the time and energy to pull off this pet project with the sole intent of antagonizing her husband's ex? Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for faking sleeping all night to see if my wife is lying? The past couple of months, my wife has been complaining about our cats. She's been claiming that the cats wake her up constantly, and that she's frustrated every night that she has to get up and open the door for the cats, or the cats keep making noises, or the cats keep jumping on her. It got to the point where she started saying she wants me to get rid of them. I told her I've never seen or heard any of this, but she claims I sleep through it all. She kept telling me she was getting less and less sleep and kept acting aggressive, blaming lack of sleep from the cats, and that if I didn't get rid of them, she'd leave me. I legitimately started considering giving the cats to my sister until I noticed something. One morning, she claimed she had gotten up multiple times throughout the night to help the cats. She listed a bunch of times. I thought it was weird because I had been up until 4 a.m. And she claimed that she got up at 1 a.m. to open the door for them, and a few times around 3 a.m. because they were meowing and jumping on her. I was in the bedroom the entire time while she slept, and I know none of that happened. Things weren't adding up, so I decided to run a test. I waited until she said she was going to bed. Then I let the cats out of our bedroom, lowered my phone brightness, and faked going to sleep. I just laid there in bed for the entire night, bored, but I definitely did not fall asleep. I made sure to make timestamps every 30 minutes on my phone through Discord just to be sure. I marked down every noise my cats made. One cat had jumped down from something and made a little sound at 3:18 a.m. And one ate food relatively quietly by the bedroom door at 4:57 a.m. Other than that, nothing happened. Sure enough, my wife slept from 11 p.m. until 9 a.m. And that morning, she claimed she had woken up at least 7 times to open the doors and from cat noises and cats jumping on her. At this point, I was pissed because she was clearly lying to me. I was exhausted and fed up with the lies, so I just bluntly called her out on it. I told her, "That's funny. I stayed up all night to monitor the cats. They weren't even in the room at all last night. I have timestamps and everything. So, you've been lying to me and trying to convince me to get rid of my cats. Why?" She just sat there quietly shaking and looking pissed, then got up and left without answering. She came back hours later and ignored me whenever I talked. And when I asked her how I'm the bad guy in this situation, she finally said that I was treating her like a child by lying about sleeping and staying up all night just to see if she was lying or not. And that making timestamps and everything, as if I was an investigator, was going too far and makes me an obsessive a-hole. I did it because she was threatening to make me get rid of my cats or she'd leave me, and her claims didn't add up. So, am I an obsessive a-hole? Not an a-hole. That was gaslighting and manipulative. And if she had issues with your cats, she should have said so directly. Don't let her flip this around on you either by making you out to be the bad guy for catching her in a lie. It's a classic move to shift blame. Don't fall for it. Not an a-hole, but you've kind of called her bluff about her leaving you now that you've removed cat's excuse from the equation. Wishing you all the best. If it's her or the cats, and you're on the fence, why the hell are you still together? She's told you she wants the cats gone. She's told you she will leave you if the cats aren't gone. Your choice was a power move, sure, but at what cost? She still wants the cats out. Not an a-hole in my opinion. You had to test her. She's trying to get you to get rid of your pets, and essentially blackmailing your relationship over it. What's your next move? I honestly don't know my next move. We've been essentially perfect together for years, and she's never done anything like this before. I didn't even realize she was capable of such immature actions. I'd hate to have to go through a messy divorce and potentially lose a bunch of my own money/items over one lie I've ever caught her in. It might be easier/cheaper to just deal with the situation through couples therapy and give it one more chance, honestly. Though the prenup we signed would make a potential divorce a lot cleaner. The next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for not letting my boyfriend ask my retired parents for money to send his mom to Hawaii and take care of her expenses?" So background. I am from a large family and my parents are middle-class retired. My boyfriend of 10 years got drunk last night and promised his 90-year-old mom that he would get her to Hawaii because she's always wanted to go. I'm cool with this. I agree to try to help figure it out with him and save so we can send her. Important note, I'm currently the only one with any income. He makes no money but is opening a business. Upon hanging up with his own mom, he immediately calls my mom, non-stop, until she answers. Then says, "Mom, I need to send my mom to Hawaii because it's her dream and we can't afford it. How can we make this happen?" I shut it down right there. I cannot believe he called my mom to ask for that kind of money without even discussing it with me first to see how I felt about the plan. I would not have agreed to this. He became belligerent, called me every disgusting name under the sun, told me that I've disrespected his mom and now don't care about her, and eventually told me we are breaking up. He continued screaming at me for the hour ride home, and we slept separately last night. Usually he comes in the morning with an apology, but today I woke up to him cussing and throwing things around the kitchen. When I asked if I could help him, he responded no. I asked if he's still angry about last night, and he said he's livid and doesn't want to talk. Am I the a-hole? Am I missing something that I should be seeing? We called his mom at his insistence, and I told her I wouldn't let him ask my mom for the money, and she was fine with it, which pissed him off even more. Open to hearing the truth. Edit. A lot of people are speculating, so I'm female 35, he's male 36. He grew up in a foster system. Now for the top comments. Whoa. Hold up. Usually he comes in the morning with an apology, but today I woke up to him cussing and throwing things around the kitchen. Usually? Is this a pattern? Oh, hell no. He said you two were breaking up? Take him up on this. He's got a lot of nerve to ask your parents for money like this, and then being mad when you didn't appreciate him overstepping you to ask your parents. Talk about entitlement. Absolutely not an a-hole. Thank you for catching this. I know this sub is all for dumping people at the slightest thing, but this is concerning. His entitlement to your money, your family's money, not to mention his temper tantrum the next morning, is all behavior I'm familiar with. It doesn't usually end well. Just because you spent 10 years in something or someone doesn't make it worth it. Don't hang on to your mistakes just because you spent a lot of time making them. Not an a-hole. When I asked if I could help him. Why? Why would you ask him that? This guy is a manipulative abuser and you're too close to see it. That he would do this and then have the gall to get mad at you is next level. My eyebrows just about to shut off my head when I read this post. You need to get rid of this guy. He is toxic. Now I've been in therapy for the last few months and had come to the conclusion that either I was a complete narcissist in pushing him, or that he's completely toxic for me and I need to figure out how to end things. Given all of these responses, I think I have my answer. Now I have to entangle finances and figure out the lease situation. Thank you for your honesty. And you are with this verbally mistreating, entitled, manipulative freeloader because... not a-hole. I know this sounds like excuses, but it's not always been like this. He worked and made lots of money for the first few years while I was making next to nothing. He wanted to quit for a variety of reasons, but mostly it's been his dream to open a business. I agreed to take on the finances for him to try to follow his dream. He's just not been able to make it work yet. And while having the other people see it as making it clear, he is usually very sweet and validating. 10 years is a long time, and little changes over the years seems to have mounted into something I could no longer see. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for having saved up a lot of money and not telling my wife? My parents got into a car crash and passed away when I was like 18. Mostly everything was left to me except for a few things given to different family members. I decided to open up a bank account and save up the money for when I might need it. I also added more money from each of my paychecks. When I meet my now wife, I didn't tell her about the money. I instead told her not to worry about having to pay for an emergency, so I would have it covered. Now we're married and we're doing well. We just had a kid some months ago and something came up unexpectedly, so we were running short on money. I told her I would figure it out and to not stress about it. She became suspicious about how I was able to pull it off. I repeatedly told her not to worry and that at the end of the day, it didn't matter. She wasn't satisfied with that answer. She went asking around, and one of my cousins told her about me saving money after my parents' accident. Nobody knows how much I saved, so my cousin probably thought it was a small amount. My wife is now upset about it. I honestly don't know what the issue is. I could have used the money for anything I wanted, but instead I'm using it for my family. So am I the a-hole for saving money without my wife knowing? Saving money? Good. Keeping sole access to it? Fine. Hiding financial information from a spouse? Really bad move. So, a softie or the a-hole? This is spot on, OP. I'm really sorry, but when other people on this sub talk about having personal/secret funds in case of emergencies or needing to get out of certain situations, we are cool with it. Why not with this guy? You're the a-hole. It's never good to have secrets in marriage. If she was just your girlfriend, it would be a totally different issue. But she's your wife, your other half, your equal. What if something would have happened to you, and she didn't know about the funds, and she needed them? Keeping a secret like that can really break trust. It makes you look like you don't trust her and you're hiding things. How would you feel if she did that to you? It doesn't matter how he would feel. He doesn't get to determine whether or not it is okay or reasonable for her to get upset. I hate when people ask this. It just makes it easier for a-holes to claim they don't care, so no one else should care either. I get not telling random people, dude, but this is your freaking wife. Your life partner. You say you would be thrilled if the situation was reversed, but I doubt many spouses would take this news well. It's not that you started saving, it's that you had assets that you kept completely hidden from your wife, who had just been under an enormous amount of stress because she thought you were equal partners in your marriage. Because she trusted you to be as transparent about your finances as she is with hers. If the person I married all of a sudden had money they'd never once mentioned to me, I would assume there was something seriously shady going on. And your refusal to accept her point of view doesn't bode well. You're the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to name my child after my late husband? Plus updates. Original post. Me 31 and my current husband 35 recently found out that we were expecting twin boys. And my first husband's mother is livid that we aren't naming one of them after her son. A little background. My first husband Michael and I were college sweethearts. We got married not long after graduation, and I thought I would be with him for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, we were only married for a couple of months before Michael passed away suddenly. It was one of the worst times in my life, and I never thought that I would ever fall in love again, much less get married again or have a family. I remained very close with Michael's mom, my mother-in-law, and she was very supportive when I eventually started dating again. Not long after I met my current husband John, I took him to her house so that they could meet. She was so excited to meet him, and I remember going to the bathroom and crying tears of relief that she wasn't angry at me for moving on. When John and I got married, she was so happy for me, and on my wedding day, she took me aside and told me that she knew Michael was happy for me too. It meant so much to me to hear her say that. Earlier this year, John and I found out that we were pregnant. At first, mother-in-law was ecstatic, making jokes about being a bonus grandma and asking to help plan a gender reveal party and baby shower. But then when the subject of names came up, she was shocked that we weren't planning to name the baby after Michael. I explained to her that if it was a boy, we were going to name him after John's father. I could tell she wasn't happy, but she seemed to accept it. Things took a turn for the worst after my 20-week ultrasound, when we found out that I was carrying twin boys. When I told her the news, she flat out told me that I had to name one of the babies after Michael, or she would never forgive me. When I told her that we weren't going to do that, she absolutely flipped, saying that I was betraying the memory of her son. I tried to make her understand that as much as I love and miss Michael, that chapter of my life is over. And I feel like it's disrespectful to John to insist on naming one of his children after another man. At first, John said that he would be fine with it if it was what I wanted, but eventually he admitted that the idea made him uncomfortable. I never want to make my mother-in-law think that I've forgotten Michael, or that he wasn't important to me. But I don't want to name one of my children after him either. And honestly, I don't think he would have wanted me to. There are better ways of remembering him than giving his name to a child that will never have any real connection to him. I tried explaining this to mother-in-law, but she just wouldn't hear it. She told me that she would never speak to me again if I didn't name one of the babies after her son. She's been a really important part of my life, and I don't want to lose her. But at the same time, I feel like she's giving me an unfair ultimatum. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. We all grieve differently. It's your child to name. And if you don't want to name them something, don't. Name your child what you and your current significant other think is right. Your mother-in-law's an a-hole for putting this ultimatum on you. She's hurting bad though. Burying your child is one of, if not the worst things in this world. Up to you if you want to give her a pass and being an a-hole about this, versus just cutting off the connection yourself. Not an easy choice. Congrats on the new babies though, and good luck in life. It's been about a decade though since Michael died, and if not mother-in-law is reacting like this now, those two boys will most likely be treated like crap by her. Or she'll designate one of them her Michael. It'll lead to a lot of preferential treatment of that twin over the other. Sounds like not mother-in-law needs some serious therapy. And personally, I'd make her getting grief therapy an ultimatum for any chance of her interacting with those boys. If not, it's a crap show waiting to happen. Not the a-hole. It's great that you have maintained great relationship with your late husband's mother. That doesn't change the fact that your kids have no connection to Michael. It would be unfair to your husband and to the kid. Does your name have a story? Oh yeah, I was named after my mom's first husband. The names should be important to both of you or at least have some logical meanings. It's not like you were in a poly relationship and one partner died. Also, where I live, it is said that it's bad luck to name a child specifically after someone dead. Not the a-hole. I think it's time to break ties with her. Your husband must be a really patient man. He's the most patient, kind, and compassionate man I've ever met. And I tell him so every day. Now for the first update. Wow. Blown away by all the feedback and support. We are hosting in-laws, John's parents, so I can only add a short update for now. But I promise to leave a longer one when they go home in a couple of days. For now, I just want to address a few things I saw in the comments. A lot of you wanted clarification as to how long Michael has been gone. It will be 10 years this October. And no, Michael's not his real name. Any names that I've included in the post have been changed to protect anonymity. A lot of you also wondered why I am still close with his mother after so long. I probably should have included this in the original post for context. But there are a couple of reasons for this. Michael was an only child and his father was never in the picture. And she has virtually no other family left besides a handful of cousins who live across the country. Over the years, she's been my steadfast supporter. Always the first to encourage me to live my life and be happy. Funnily enough, I might not have met John if it wasn't for her. A friend of mine had set me up with him on a blind date and I almost backed out. The only reason I didn't was because my ex-mother-in-law convinced me to go. Honestly, she is the last person I ever would have expected this from, which is why I've found it so hard to deal with. A lot of you have said this is probably her being forced to finally deal with a lot of unprocessed grief, and I think that's probably true. I think at some point I stopped thinking of her as my mother-in-law and started thinking of her as a friend. I thought that she'd come to think of me the same way, but now I'm realizing that at least a part of her still sees me as Michael's wife. I'm hopeful that we will find a way to work it out, but I am prepared to let her go if it comes to that, even though it would make me terribly sad. To those of you who said I should start putting up some boundaries with her, you're probably right. I honestly thought all of the bonus grandma jokes were harmless at first, but now I have started to think otherwise. I don't want to make any rash decisions yet until we've both had a chance to calm down. But as things stand now, she has a lot of work to do in a way for regaining my trust. As to where I stand on the name issue, I am not going to name either of my children after Michael. For those of you who were worried I might cave on the issue, don't be. It was never an option. I briefly considered doing something with a middle name, but ultimately decided against it. I don't want to burden either of my children by naming them after a man they will never have any connection to. As to how we honor Michael's memory, every year John and I go visit his grave on his birthday. It was actually John who started the tradition. The year we got engaged, and we haven't missed a year since. Maybe someday when they're old enough, we'll take the boys. I don't know how exactly, but I'm sure I'll find a way to explain to them who Michael was and what he meant to me. For those of you who ask if this was having a negative impact on my marriage, the answer is no. John has been my rock through the entire pregnancy, and his only concern during this ordeal has been my emotional well-being. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that if I wanted to name one of these babies after Michael, that he would let me and never say a word about it, no matter how much it hurt him. Which makes me even more determined not to cave on the issue, because I refuse to repay his selflessness with selfishness. As to where things stand with ex-mother-in-law and I, My sister-in-law, brother's wife, is good friends with her. They teach together at the same school. So right now, she's acting as a sort of go-between. She says that she thinks ex-mother-in-law is having a long overdue emotional breakdown. We both agree that she has avoided fully processing her grief, and now it's all coming to a boiling point. She's pushing hard to get her to see a therapist, and I'm hopeful that we can salvage at least some of our relationship. But if not, I'll find a way to live with it. And finally, to the handful of commenters who insinuated that I am still in love with Michael, and that I'm not being fair to John, let me just say that until you've been in my shoes, you won't understand. Michael and I were very young when we got married. I loved him very much, and he will always, always have a place in my heart. But John is absolutely the love of my life. It took me years of therapy, but I don't feel guilty about it anymore. Thank you all so much for commenting and leaving your thoughts. It's helped me so much to process things and sort out my emotions. Planning to see my ex-mother-in-law later this week after current in-laws leave, and I will be back with an update as soon as possible. Now for the second update 7 weeks later. I meant to do this sooner, but it has been a wild month. As it turns out, carrying two human beings inside of you takes a bit of a toll, and lately I've been feeling it. As of yesterday, I'm at 32 weeks, which means we're officially out of the danger zone if the boys decide to come early, but hopefully they'll stay where they are for a little while longer. John and I were advised by a friend that we should give them names that mean something to us as a couple. So we decided to name them for our favorite Tom Hanks characters, as it was our mutual love for the actor that we first bonded over. Hint, neither of them will be named Forrest. One of them will be named after a character starred alongside Meg Ryan. Since I made this post, it has come to light that ex-mother-in-law has a serious problem with alcohol. I never realized this before, because apparently she was very good at hiding it. Also, I've been told that while she has been nothing but supportive and kind to my face, she has made some very unkind comments about me and John behind our backs. She's even told some people that I cheated on Michael, her son, with John, even though I didn't even meet him until several years after Michael died. We went no contact 2 weeks ago, and it makes me very sad, because Michael adored his mother, and it would break his heart to see her like this. Because as awful as she's been to me lately, I know it's just because she's in pain. Still, I know he would understand why I've decided to cut her out of my life. I truly hope that one day she'll heal, and we can find a way to be friends again. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé he doesn't get to name both of our babies? I'm pregnant with twins, and my fiancé and I just found out we're having a boy and a girl. We started talking about names the other day. He told me that he really wanted to name the baby boy after himself, first and middle. I wasn't on board at first, but after thinking about it, I agreed. I told him that for the baby girl, I wanted her first name to be my sister's since we're very close, and the middle to be my dad's since he passed when I was young. My dad's name isn't really unisex, but is becoming a common girl's name. My fiancé got visibly sad and told me he wanted to name the baby girl after his mom and have the middle name be his dad's name. His dad's name is a unisex name. I told him that I didn't really think it was fair that he got to name the first baby what he wanted, and now wants to name the second baby also what he wants. I also said it wasn't fair that my family gets excluded. He said he really wanted to incorporate at least his mom's name. I told him that the baby girl's middle name can be his mom's, but then the boy's middle name is going to be my dad's. He said he wanted the baby boy named completely after him though, so the baby is a junior. I told him he doesn't get to name both of the babies what he wants. He got upset about this comment and has been standoffish toward me. I don't think that was so awful of me to say, but now I'm second-guessing my comment and wondering if I'm an a-hole for it. Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. Also, it is a nightmare paper-wise when a kid has the exact same name as their father. My family did this with my brother, and it causes so many problems. I highly don't recommend that you do that. Also, my brother started to resent his name due to him wanting to be his own unique person and not a copy of Dad. I highly recommend not going the junior route. Strong support for your comment about your brother being named after his father. Let kids be their unique selves. My husband is a junior, and his father's financial information shows up on his credit report from time to time. Things like having a Sears credit card before he was actually born. You'd think different birthdays and social security numbers would prevent it, but no. Not a hole. He's being selfish. Both child names should require 2 yes votes. Exactly. 2 yeses and 1 no is what it takes to name babies. Not a hole. I presume he thinks they are both getting his last name too? Why shouldn't get one your last name? and he got visibly sad when he didn't get his way. It's time for you to start getting visibly sad that he can't respect your feelings. Here's a fair solution. You each choose 2 names. First name choice for one gender results and middle choice for the other. He picks Anne and Brad. You pick Claire and David. You end up with Anne Claire and David Brad. Or you end up with Claire Anne and Brad David. Edit. I feel I need to clear something up that I'm seeing a lot. Quite a lot of people keep telling me to give the kids original names and not name them after someone else. In my family, it's very normal to recycle names and name new babies after family members. It's actually considered abnormal if you give your baby an original name. I know this isn't the norm and it's weird for others, but like I said, it's normal for us and our family actually loves having recycled names. A few of us love that we have the same names. We don't find it weird and we enjoy it. Every family is different and our families enjoy sharing names. It's fine if you don't agree, but that's just how our family is. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for demanding that my mother display photos of my wife in her house? I got married 2 years ago to the love of my life. I feel like my mom doesn't really like her, but the relationship is mostly okay. Honestly, I have a feeling that since I got married, I've been left out of a lot of stuff. But the only one I can prove is my mom's birthday trip. To be clear, no one is straight up rude. But it is clear my mom and wife don't vibe, and the rest of my family seems meh about her, which does make me sad. My mom has a wall with a lot of pictures on it. There are plenty of pictures of my sister's partner and there are pictures of extended family, but not a single one of my wife. My mom has pictures of her, because some of these were taken at events we were at, but she just chooses the ones without my wife. Honestly, this is not something I would have picked up on, but my wife did, and it bothered her. My wife's family is huge on family, and while I don't think my mother-in-law loves me, she definitely includes me in everything. I brought it up to my mom, and she said she hadn't noticed. I said I didn't really believe her, and she shrugged and said my wife isn't her daughter. I pointed out that my sister's partner isn't her son, or my aunt's husband isn't her brother, but she has pictures of them. My mom said it was her house, and the whole conversation's dumb. I said she can't exclude the love of my life, and my mom said this is a really pathetic thing to care about, and we are being weird. My wife was upset, and feels like it was a clear statement, so I told my mom she could either put up some pictures of my wife, or we wouldn't be coming over. My mom said, okay, don't come over. That was probably 4 to 5 months ago. I checked up about Christmas and asked if she had put up even one picture. My mom said no, she wasn't going to, we can't make her, and just don't come to Christmas and see if she cares. Well, we won't be going to Christmas, but my sister is super pissed at me and thinks I'm an entitled a-hole, and I heard my stepdad was making fun of us. I don't feel too bad because everything I've read online talks about you have to be a united front. Not the a-hole. You are doing everything right. Time to show them how much better your life is without them. I know with current events travel can be tricky, but you should try to do something special for Christmas and take lots of photos. Also, never take or post another photo of yourself without your wife ever again. If you really want to get petty, if you know there's something your mom wants, but your stepdad hasn't delivered, for example, a piece of jewelry she wants, buy one for your wife and make sure your mom finds out indirectly, and take/post photos. Edit, for those having a problem with my petty suggestion. The part about other significants being included and not Opie's wife really pissed me off. If all significants were left out, I'd just say let it go. But if Opie's wife is going to be singled out, I say unleash the petty kraken and give it a camera. Lol, I love that. But unfortunately my mom gets whatever she wants the moment she pouts. Not the a-hole. Your mom doesn't like your wife, unfortunately. However, your mother does have a point. You can't make her put up any photos. Maybe go low/no contact with your mom. Talk it over with your wife and see how she feels. It's nice to see a husband with a backbone on the site. Also, you might need to look into r/just no mother-in-law. Update. My girlfriend's 23 female friend kissed me, 24 male, but she's threatening to tell girlfriend something else if I say anything. Original post. I really don't know what to do. She kissed me in the hallway at my friend's house when we were all drinking last night. My girlfriend was barely getting off from work, so she wasn't there yet. She freaked out when I said I was gonna tell my girlfriend, and she said she'll tell her I pushed myself on her to kiss and touch her. She looked completely serious, as in she will, or she'll say I tried worse on her, then said who will my girlfriend believe since it was just us in the hallway. Everyone else was downstairs. I feel so bad that I didn't tell my girlfriend anything when she got there, and still thinking about it now the next morning. I want to be honest about what her best friend did, but I'm scared she's going to put the blame on me. Now for the top advice before reading the update. The longer you wait, the worse it will be. Tell her. That's true. God, this freaking sucks. Be completely honest and get ahead of it. You can't control her reaction, but it's better than being held hostage by her friend and your own mind. Tell your girlfriend, then as soon as you're done, call the best friend on your phone with girlfriend present and say, I'm going to tell girlfriend you kissed me. I can't lie to her, blah blah. And she will probably call herself out then and there. You gotta tell her now. Tell her exactly what happened, and then tell her you said you would share and she threatened you. After all we've been through, I hope she believes me. They've been friends for years, so my fear is she'll believe anything she tells her. Do you think you might be able to get her friend to admit what happened via text? Or record her making this threat next time you see her? I would tell your girlfriend immediately either way because you want to get ahead of it, in case her friend panics and decides to say something. But it might be worth seeing if you can get her to own up if you think she might take the bait. Obviously, loop your girlfriend into this as well. I didn't think about that. Not sure about the text though. She might not want to send anything that I could show to my girlfriend, but recording might work. And now for the update. Sorry to leave you guys hanging. I know many were asking for an update on my post. The last few days have been pretty crazy. For one thing, my girlfriend knows. She was shocked, but I told her the whole thing. Not only about what she did, but the fact that she threatened to lie about me doing worse. And that's why I was afraid to tell her. Also because I was worried how my girlfriend would react. She was shocked and pretty confused, like she wanted to cry. And then I learned something messed up. This isn't the first time her best friend did this. But last time it was her ex-boyfriend from high school. Only her friend told her that it was the guy who kissed her. My girl believed her friend though, and that's why it's the next now. She started crying. We hugged and talked some more. Then things got chaotic. Her now ex-friend decided to stick with her threat and told my girlfriend a completely different version where I forced myself on her. Supposedly covered her mouth and tried to freaking violate her, but she managed to push me off and go with everyone else. Only my girlfriend did believe her lie, and they had a huge fight. Obviously no longer friends, and my girlfriend was pretty devastated. I hated seeing her so hurt, and wished that this didn't have to happen. Then to make everything worse, she stuck to her word and lied to all of our friends about what happened. Made herself the freaking victim and told them my girlfriend is supporting an offender over her own friend. Like seriously, it was freaking crazy. My girlfriend couldn't believe it. That hurt her even more. Our friends had texted her nonstop telling her what an awful person she is. That I'm a freaking monster and they're encouraging her to file a police report. Which she was planning to do because that's what she told her cousins. That lasted a couple days. It was so stupid though, because if something like that even happened, why would you not tell someone right away? At least some of our friends who were at a party didn't seem to buy her story. Not all of them, but at least some. We got sick of this garbage. So my girlfriend went over to her house and she convinced her to admit it was a lie. I don't know how she did that, but my girlfriend said it took a lot of talking. Plus, she managed to catch some holes in her lies. Then an hour later she got a text from her saying she's sorry about spreading those rumors, and asking if they could talk because she doesn't want their friendship to end this way. Yeah, after kissing me without consent, lying about a crime and making my girlfriend seem like the bad guy too. She doesn't want their friendship to end like that? So freaking crazy. It all drained us, to be honest. Her girlfriend wasn't in a good place and I felt bad. Tried to be there for her, hugging her whenever she cried and saying how much I love her. We didn't want to do anything for Thanksgiving because of everything, so we came here to stay at a motel by the beach the last 2 days so we could forget about stuff. She's still sad about losing someone she thought she could trust, but I'm sad for my girl. Hoping things get better from here now that she's not around. Edit. To people saying to talk to a lawyer, I realize I probably should. Just so some things are in the record and this can't come back to bite me in the future. I don't know when we'll be back home, but once we get back, I'll try talking to a lawyer. Thanks. Do people already know that it was a lie? What did they say? Does the friend keep asking to be forgiven? People who believed her friend and now know the truth are still her friends? Most of them apologized to both of us and deleted some of the stuff they said to us on Instagram and Twitter. Some haven't, but I think it's because they're embarrassed. We blocked her everywhere because she wouldn't stop messaging us. If you have the financials for it, you could sue her for slander/libel. I could maybe, but this has been hard enough on my girlfriend, and I just think it's better to move on from it faster. I'd be sending some stern messages to people to take their posts down calling you an offender, or you'll see your lawyer about a libel case. Otherwise, it's up there. Your name equals offender. You can't have that out there for any future person/employer to go looking at. Then when they've done that, both of you should block these flakes from your life. They're highly dangerous to you. All of them did. It just meant there are some who haven't reached out to apologize. But the fact that they deleted all their comments suggests they know the truth now but just won't say anything to us. Keep that text message. If the friend goes nuclear, you have evidence against her. I'm so sorry you had to deal with all of this. That friend is a monster. She forced herself on you. I hope the future is bright for the two of you moving forward. We screenshot everything she sent us as proof before we blocked her. Now for the last story. My female 28 husband's male 30 older brother male 35 confessed that he's in love with me. What the hell do I do? Original post. This happened last week. I'm still shocked and have no idea what to do with this information. A little backstory. My husband and I have been friends since I was in middle school, so we've known each other and each other's families forever. We started dating after college and got married 2 years ago. Let's call my husband Greg and his older brother Michael. I've obviously known Michael just as long as I've known Greg, but in that vague peripheral way, you know, a friend's older brother. He was already well into college by the time I met and started hanging out with Greg, so until we got married I hadn't had a lot of contact with him, except for holidays when everyone was home. Michael and his wife, let's call her Stephanie, have been separated for over a year and are in the process of getting divorced. He primarily cares for their 6-year-old son. Stephanie moved out of state. Michael's a near physician and has been insanely busy since COVID started, especially since their son's daycare is still closed. Since I'm able to work remotely, I've stepped in to help out with babysitting. As a result, I've had more interaction with Michael, but still, it's not much. Just him getting home exhausted from work, saying thanks, me saying some version of no worries, happy to spend time with my nephew, and then leave. Nothing romantic. No ulterior motives. Nothing weird. Then last week, as I was gathering up my laptop and stuff getting ready to go home, Michael said, "Hey, I really need to talk to you about something that's been bugging me." I honestly thought it was going to be that I had done something wrong in caring for his son, letting him do/eat something he wasn't supposed to or something like that. But then he essentially told me that he's been in love with me for years, and that his feelings toward me were a contributing factor in him leaving Stephanie, and seeing me with his son and coming home to me every night has been wonderful. He then said, "I understand you're with Greg, but I had to tell you how I feel." I sort of blacked out from shock, mumbled something about needing to get home, and left. I can't stress enough how little one-on-one contact Michael and I have had. Like, I don't think I've ever even hugged him. If you added up all the words we've ever spoken to each other, it might comprise a 30-minute conversation. He's almost like a father/teacher figure to me. I certainly don't feel the same way about him, and I'm blown away that not only is he apparently in love with me, how, but I was a contributing factor in his divorce? Which means Stephanie knows how he feels. Because I know some problematic people will ask, no, I have never led him on, or in anything even remotely revealing in front of him, texted him about anything other than childcare logistics, or spent more than 10 minutes alone with him. I'm honestly more confused than anything, because from my perspective, he knows nothing about me. Like, we barely talk. How the hell can he think he's in love with me? I've avoided him entirely since it happened, saying I had a bunch of meetings and couldn't babysit last week, which I feel really guilty about because I love spending time with my nephew. I haven't told anyone else, especially my husband. Please help. This is so far above my pay grade, and probably above Reddit's as well, but have no idea what to do. I don't want to cause a weird rift between brothers, or not be able to see my nephew anymore. Any advice is welcome. Thanks. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Tell your husband what's going on, and explain that's why you've been dodging his brother. Brother-in-law may think he's in love, but most likely is using what he thinks he knows about you as an ideal to hold up for his failed marriage. This. As you've pointed out, brother-in-law barely knows you. He's created an idea of you in his mind and fallen in love with it. This sometimes happens when people are unhappy in their lives and close themselves off from being involved in the people around them. He was likely unhappy with his wife, and during that time continued to imagine a life with you, building you up into someone you have never been. Be sure to mention this to your husband. I think that your brother-in-law needs clear boundaries, but not a kick in the teeth. He likely needs therapy. Step 1. Show husband this post. The information is going to cross husband's path eventually, and it's really important that you're the one to tell him. You don't want him finding out. Plus, finding out you know. Plus, you elected not to tell him. Real step 2. Avoid contact and start treating your mental and emotional health. Blacking out from stress is a sign of trauma, but just like any wound, can heal. Green grass, blue skies. Tell your husband. The brother needs to be called out on his stupidity. Sounds like has a had tough run. Might have got a bit too intense and found comfort in any female close proximity. It happens. Maybe Michael isn't in love with you. I'm not saying you're not a catch, but maybe he's in love with the idea of you. Do you know why his marriage ended? But perhaps he saw you and Greg together and was thinking about how you don't fight or how you look happy together, etc., etc., and saw those things missing in his marriage. It could be just more fake crush than an actual I've loved you since day one. But you need to tell your hubby ASAP. You don't want him to find out from your soon-to-be ex-sister-in-law calling him saying, "It's your wife's fault my marriage is over." Now for the update. This is going to be super long, but here it goes. My husband is my best friend. Has been since I was 12 years old. Keeping this from him for 5 days was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was sick to my stomach and could barely sleep. A special FU to those commenters who insinuated that I was lying and had actually been in love with / sleeping with Michael the entire time. And I'm using this as an excuse to get out of cheating. Who hurt you? I knew even before posting on here that I needed to tell my husband. But being the conflict-averse, socially awkward / anxious person I am, I sort of hoped this would all go away if I just ignored it like nothing happened, or pretend I had gone spontaneously deaf. I didn't want it to turn into some huge deal that made every family get together impossibly awkward. But the responses I received here were overwhelmingly, "Tell your goddamn husband." Yesterday, Tuesday morning, I told my husband everything. His initial response, no joke, was laughing. What? Followed immediately by, "Oh my god, this is totally my fault." Incredulous, I asked him how this could possibly be his fault. He explained that when Michael and Stephanie were still married, whenever they would have issues in their relationship, Michael would confide in Greg, who in turn would offer his advice and support. Being a protective little brother and upset about how Michael was being treated by his wife, Greg would apparently always use me as the good example, in contrast to Stephanie's bad. She was a bit of an a-hole, to be fair, insisting that Michael deserved better, deserved to have a relationship like we did, a wife who loved him as much as I love Greg. And then pointed out the obvious, that this was neither his fault nor mine, and that Michael was definitely not in love with me, but the idea of me. First as the wife he wanted but did not have, then as the mother to his child. We agreed that the situation has been compounded by the unimaginable stress he's been under since COVID, and he probably saw me as the only stable, loving presence in his and his son's life. Because my husband is the kindest, most empathetic, most amazing man on earth, and probably a better brother than Michael deserves, to be honest, he wasn't even angry. He was sad. He knew as well as I did that Michael was not actually in love with me. We agreed we would talk to Michael together, suggest therapy, and continue supporting him and caring for our godson. We also agreed that no matter what happened, we would not let that little boy be the collateral damage in this awkward, unnecessary mess, especially when his parents have divorced. His own mother has all but abandoned him, and a global pandemic has prevented him from seeing his kindergarten friends as often. He needs and deserves a stable, loving, normal environment in which to be a kid. Greg and I decided that we would watch our nephew together yesterday, at our house. Greg texted Michael that we would be working from home, and to drop the boy off on his way to the hospital. When Michael got off work and came to pick up his son, I was upstairs, leaving them to talk. After they had talked for about an hour and a half, Greg called me downstairs. Both of them had been crying. Michael apologized to me and to Greg, profusely. Total mea culpa. He insisted his intention in confessing his feelings was meant more as a compliment to what an amazing wife I am to Greg, and how happy you make my son, And that was what motivated him to finally leave Stephanie 2 years ago. Not wanting to be with me and take me away from Greg, but realizing that I, or more realistically someone like me, was what he wanted/deserved. He said he realized it was selfish of him to unload his feelings on me like that. And he knew I wouldn't reciprocate them, but that he felt he would go insane if he didn't just freaking say something, with everything else on his plate right now. He said he had been feeling this way for a couple of years and planned to just work through it alone and take it to his grave, but that it just sort of came out like word vomit, and he never in a zillion years would have acted on it. Michael also made a point to underscore the fact that these romantic feelings toward me are quite new, developing about 5 years ago, and were in no way predatory, since he's known me since I was 12 and he was 20. Michael agreed to seek therapy. Greg and I even offered to join him at the sessions if he thought it would be helpful. Greg and I will also still be helping him with a son. He works insane hours, and is new to the whole single dad thing. Any babysitting will be done at our house, not Michael's from now on. For those pointing out that Michael can afford alternate childcare for his son, that's not the point. His son, our godson, needs a stable environment filled with family and routine, since his life has been pretty much uprooted by the divorce, his mom leaving, and the pandemic. Until his school resumes in-person classes next spring, we'll care for him as a family. Greg and Michael's sister and parents, while they know nothing of this mess, share in the responsibility as well, so it would not be totally in our hands. All in all, I don't think any of us could have hoped for a better outcome to this weird situation. Happy to have everything out in the open so we can move forward. Thanks again for all of your advice and kind words. I have the best husband, salt of the earth that one,